hope the belt didn't slip or fall off. I hope I can make it to where I'm going. This is not good. Follow along as we restore this $14,000 Maserati to its former glory and sell it live on Cars and Bids with no reserve. Well, this is new. Check power steering, go to dealer, and the battery light. So I hope the belt didn't slip or fall off, but we're gonna send it. And now it's giving me check suspension as well. So it almost seems like electrical, but something's not happy. Whatever my electrical gremlin is, now I have the TPMS light flashing. And my window is stuck halfway down, half up, and it won't roll. So maybe I just killed the battery, but this is not good. Now the center screen turned off. Thankfully my headlights are still on and just everything is blinking. So I have to think I'm losing battery power at this point. It's also blinking now. Uh-oh, there's the RPM is now jumping. I hope I can make it to where I'm going. This is not good. Oh my gosh, this is getting scary. Oh, that was really scary actually. I broke down on the freeway off-ramp. It just lost all power and I had to literally push it over a hill to get momentum. We are safe and off the freeway now. I'm gonna see if I can't jump it, but I think it's gonna be AAA time. All right, the rescue crew is here. Thank you, Doug, Sean, and Sam. The battery pack is put in here, but it's still no worky. So we got it to start for a second.
Oh, now it says ready.
It says ready, shall we go?
You should look at where the voltmeter is in your... Because you only have a second or two to find it.
Not even that.
Whether it's the alternator or the battery is dead.
This is my first time doing this. This is so fun. Good job. It's fun. Well, I'm driving my wife's glorious 2014 Ford Focus because the Lamborghini's broken, the Maserati's broken, the Cayenne needs oil and is leaking oil, and this is the only reliable vehicle we have. And I know my wife is going to shove this video in my face, but the problem with having a hoopty fleet is they don't always work. So thank you, 2014 Ford Focus with your slipping TSG transmission. You are my point A to point B right now. Look at these glamour shots. This car is so cool. I do miss it, but this upcoming repair bill is making me miss it a little less than I thought I would. So what am I gonna do while the car's down and out? Let's start shopping. Time to be a full-blown degenerate, embrace it, and find the next car. So I've been just popping around on every used car site. I set my sight and bid on this Rolls-Royce Silver Seraph with the V12. I think they're super cool cars. This one was a numbered car, a Concours edition. I was actually the high bidder, but it did not meet reserve, and the asking price from the dealer and what I'd be willing to go up to are dramatically far apart. They're double basically what I'm willing to pay. So this one is ruled out. Maybe we'll come back to it or keep looking. I also really love the SRT10 Ram. So I looked at this one, and the more and more I talked to the dealer, he did videos and pictures, and I was pretty close on moving forward here. It just started to look familiar. It had these side pipes on the side, Venom power tires, a handful of other things that they stood out. And the more I realized it, I watched this video series with Sam Crack, and I love Sam Crack. He's like just hanging out with a bunch of cows and chickens in Florida and working in his yard, shade tree mechanic style, but very practical, very useful. But it's the exact same truck. So Sam must have bought it. I then sold it at auction. It needed a lot of work. Sam did a lot of it, but it was a pretty neglected truck. So I don't want to get into that. Did find another one on Facebook Marketplace. Started negotiating with this guy some, but he wants 24. It's a little tough there to swallow that one. Needs some work in terms of the taillights and quad exhaust and so on, but I'm still into this truck. It's still a possibility. I'm also really digging on some of these Celine Mustangs from the past. I've built a Celine before. Mine was the XP8, but I was really tempted to bid on this one. I thought that was a great price for the car. I love the spec. But last but not least, I saw the holy grail in terms of my interest here. So many of you probably remember my P38 that I did a series on, the yellow Borrego edition. It's the one car my wife was like, I wish you hadn't sold it. Well, this is taking that up a notch. In period, someone bought this car. It's a 95, so the first year of the P38. They shortened it to be a two-door. It converted to a convertible. And it's a white leather interior, only 16,000 miles. It actually was surprisingly decent. Sean and I drove up to Orange County to pick up the Lambo for service, and I got to play with it, including the top here. It uses the factory sunroof button to do the power top. The bodywork is good. They must have repainted it, so the paint's actually in great shape, even though most P38s aren't. It looks like a new car from 1995, but today. They are asking $150,000, which is, well, 10 times more than I've ever seen a P38 go for. That's a 95 with the 4.0, but good luck to them. I do think it's really special. Find another one. So I don't even think they're crazy for asking for this. However, it's a little rich for my blood. Especially for the underlying car underneath it. But compared to a G cab or something like that, perhaps it's worth it to the right buyer. I certainly think it would be one of the most special, unique cars you could see at a Cars and Coffee, and pretty ideal for around here in SoCal. And it's back. We are picking up the car from GP Auto Works yet again. Got a brand new alternator in it, as well as a new intake gasket. $3,000, of which $2,000 was labor and about $1,000 was the parts between the alternator and the new intake gasket. Hopefully she's roadworthy for a while. I also got my new cool plates on, and I got to enjoy walking around GP yet again. Oh, this is so gorgeous. The modded 345 is pretty cool too, as is this. My hero Hoovie also hooked it up here with not just the cool Hoovie's Garage shirt, but we are officially a hoopty here with the Maserati sticker. So I think that'll look pretty good on the car and describes the ownership experience. And to recap exactly what happened, if you couldn't tell from the footage, I started driving the car and slowly but surely the system started shutting down. First it was some aero lights, then things started to get a little dim, the battery lights started flashing, and before I knew it, the car completely died on the freeway. And for those that don't live around here, basically it was an interchange where two major freeways split. The exit to get off the freeway is a long off-ramp, and the car died basically at the top of the off-ramp in pitch black. So it was a blind uphill off-ramp, and I had to literally push the car off of the off-ramp as traffic was flying by at 50, 60 miles an hour. Kind of sketchy, but I got it off the freeway. Right as you get off the freeway is a bunch of adult entertainment places and kind of seedy areas, as well as a hotel that was shut down after being a homeless encampment. So that was fun and interesting, but we got the car. At that point, Doug and Sean and Kenan came and rescued me. AAA came and towed the car away. But PSA, if you think your alternator's dying, don't try to just make it to your destination. Pull over, get somewhere safe so that you don't break down in the middle of a busy freeway in the middle of the night. Enhance, enhance, enhance. Well, that was fun. I just did some crunching of the numbers on the QP5 here with the latest breakdown that you just saw. And that brings the grand total that I've spent on this car to $24,652.55. And keep in mind, I paid $14,000 for the car and $650 for shipping, which means I'm into this car exactly $10,000 in upkeep in the last 3 months. That is insane, even with the expectations I had going into it. Now, I will caveat, 3 grand of that was cosmetic, so you could argue 7 grand was actual maintenance and upkeep, but still, that's ridiculous. It's roughly $6.67 per mile driven, because I've driven it 1,500 miles in the last 3 months. Another way of looking at it is I spent $3,333 per month in maintenance. These are numbers that would make even Kenan and his E39 feel bashful. It is not good, but I have a plan. I have decided that I'm gonna list this on Turo. And I'm gonna charge $250 a day, which I think will scare away a lot of people, but I think it'll attract the right people, people who either really appreciate the car or people that are wealthy enough that they are likely smart people or at least reasonably intelligent. So maybe I get no renters, maybe not, but I figure if I can rent it just once, one long weekend a month, that would be roughly $1,000 coming in. And I think that should defray a lot of the costs. I also think it won't continue to cost $3,000 a month in maintenance. I think that was a little unlucky. Plus, like I said, some of it was cosmetic reconditioning. So it should get better over time. And it's got new SERP belts, alternator belts, new alternator, new power steering, oil change, filters. It's had the full gamut of wearables done, new tires. It really shouldn't need that much more, so we will see. The other good news is that 2 facelifted QP5s, Quattroportes, transacted this week over 20 grand on another auction site. So they had lower miles, but they were 2009s, which means they did not have the revised cam variator and have a high risk of cam variator failure, which is a roughly $10,000 service. Mine being a much cooler spec than either of the other 2 cars, which were black, and having the revised cam variators and having $10,000 of service history, I do think this car should transact a lot higher than I paid for it, but we will let you all decide. The plan right now is to sell it in January. We've got some time, we'll see how it goes. We'll drive it a little bit more to make sure I've really gotten all the bugs out, but plan on getting your checkbooks out in January and hopefully dropping me a bid. Lastly, I think the question everyone's giving me is, so you're $25,000 into this car. Is it a $25,000 driving experience? And that, my friends, is the right way of looking at it. Because yeah, spending 10 grand on maintenance does sound really bad, but buying the car for 14 grand also sounds like the bargain of a century. It is a $200,000 car when new and adjusted for inflation. If it was $200,000 and you paid 25 grand for it, smoking deal. What I did was basically get it up to par and say, okay, now that we're 25 grand into it, regardless of whether I paid that all upfront to the seller or I paid half to the seller and half to my mechanic, is it worth 25 grand? And I think the answer for me is absolutely yes. It sounds amazing. It sounds like one of the best cars I've ever heard for that price point. Certainly for a sedan, even better than a lot of AMGs or the E39s of the world. It's got an incredible sound. That Ferrari-derived V8, the Larini X-Pipe, they did that right. The interior is great, it's comfortable. I've driven, hours and hours at a time. It's not uncomfortable, the heated seats, the electronics, the feel of the interior is really great. So I like it as a daily a lot. And then the outside is stunning. The Pininfarina design, the blue Mediterranean paint, the silver multi-spoke wheels. I really do think going all over again, if someone just said, hey, it's 25 grand, do you think that's worth it? I'd say absolutely. It is a special, unique car. It turns heads at Cars and Coffee. My kids and family like it. I like it. I think it's worth that. So it's just a weird value prop to say, all right, pay me half up front and then pay me the half in installments over the next few months. Now, the only thing that would change my opinion there would be if it keeps costing me $3,333.33 a month in upkeep, I'm eventually gonna say, all right, it's no longer worth it at 30, 40, 50 grand all in. But I do think if things smooth out from here, which they should, it's a $25,000 driving experience all day, every day, and I have zero regrets about that one.